you know, the government and society at large, you can't really just blame the government because if society at large didn't agree with what the government did, what was it systematically doing for decades, uh, society has to take responsibility for its part in doing that. And what I'm talking about is the dumbing down of America, the dumbing down of our kids, lowering the bar extremely, not a little bit, a lot, instead of raising the bar. Uh, Now, I want to get into why this is. Well, for one thing, it's keeping the black man down. Uh, when you lower the bar, you don't raise the bar. And they don't want to raise black people up. They don't want to make them smart. They don't, they every black high school has a very big uh, presence presence at the school with the athletics, new football fields, new baseball fields, definitely a new basketball court, you know, things of that nature. And they spend millions of dollars on those amenities, but they're lucky if you can find a microscope. There's no microscopes to be had. And if they are, they're the old dinky kind, you can see your own finger in it with a microscope that they have, so it's just, and, and, and that's all part of dumbing down America and dumbing down the blacks because the sports, you could be good at football and dumb as rocks and good at basketball and dumb as rocks. You don't have to be smart to play basketball. You don't have to be smart to play football or baseball. And and this is where they're spending the millions of dollars at a school. I mean, I understand if you summer during the summer if you want to go to football camp or baseball camp or basketball camp, and that's what you want to do with your free time. Uh, Go for it. Have a great time. You won't hear a video of mine complaining about that. But during the school year, basketball is not important. Uh, Learning science and math and English and social studies and the basics. I mean, they don't even teach the basics. So they don't teach you how to cook. They don't teach you how to manage your money. They don't teach you how to have sex, so you don't get pregnant at 13. They don't teach you uh, the pitfalls of doing drugs. Uh, all those things that I just mentioned are taught outside the school in the parking lot, you know, and it's a rough education. There's no grades, there's no teachers. It's the street, in the parking lot. And you do have those 13-year-old girls that get pregnant. Uh, some more or less have abortions nowadays, but some don't. And it's the drugs. They get addicted to drugs, and they're 13 years old and they're addicted to drugs, and their life is all messed up. And you know, uh, but the most important uh, player at the school is the quarterback on the football team, or the point guard on the basketball team. It's just ridiculous, ass backwards, and it all has to do with bringing down the bar and keeping the bar down. I want smart black people that are going to move into white neighborhoods when they get a smart black person job and can afford a white neighborhood. And it's just keeping the blacks on the right side of the tracks and the whites on the left side of the tracks. And that's what it's all about. It has nothing to do with anything else. And You might say, well, the white students in the white schools, they do the same thing. They push to sports. They might have better microscopes, but it's when you lower the bar, you lower the bar for everybody. Like when the water rises, all the boats rise when the water rises. Well, all the boats go down when you lower the standards, and it's just it's bad for society. It's bad for society because there's a whole economy. There's a whole thing about the whole. I mean, it's very complicated to put into a I don't know 10-15 minute video, but uh, I think you get the idea. But and where do they put the casinos in the black neighborhoods? Where do they sell the drugs in the black neighborhood? And you know, they don't encourage the black man to get a good job or work a regular 9 to 5 job. They don't encourage that because they don't want them there, and they don't want them to have money. They don't want because money is power, and they don't want blacks to have power. And they don't. And the biggest thing is the white father doesn't want the black man coming to his front door to pick up his daughter, and that's a big, 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 big part of it. You know. So look, I'm not offering answers. I'm trying to point out problems, and you have to come up with the answers because you know the civil rights were fought to get the right to vote, the right to drink at a water fountain that you wanted to, or sit at a table, or the place you sit on the bus. All those things, and I think it's going backwards now, and we're losing. The blacks are losing that stuff, and they're trying to take away the vote to this day for the blacks to not qualify them because they don't have the right paperwork or whatever, and they're deporting them. They're doing everything they can to keep the black man down. And if uh, you had a black president, it didn't seem to do it. The only thing it did is piss people off. Piss the whites off. Piss the Republicans off. And what came after Obama but Trump. So that was the answer to a black president. It's like we have a black president, and then we have a KKK president. So look, racism is not dead in America. It's nowhere near dead. Uh, but it needs to be beaten down with a stick, you know. And look, we all like things that are like us. And white people like white people, black people like black people, and black people are just as racist as white people. Not all of them, of course, but you find racists among black people, and I don't think they're totally wrong. Uh, you beat the man down for how many years of his life, and then you want him to be your friend. I don't know how you can do that, you know. Uh, but it's just a very disgusting world when we allow people to be treated the way they are because of the color of their skin, uh, or because of the school they went to, or the town they grew up in, and all those non. They're just they have no basis in making a judgment. You know, uh, most of the people in jail, of course, not all of them, don't belong there. I mean, if they were given the proper background, the proper education, they wouldn't be there. But, you know, when you can make, I don't know, 2,000 a day standing on a corner, and I know they don't stand on corners anymore. They have cell phones these days. I guess burners, you might call them, and that's how they get their customers. But they make 2,000 a day with their cell phone. They're not going to go work at McDonald's. And I'm not saying they need to work at McDonald's. They need to work in an accounting firm or a law firm or be a doctor or something. But all that involves expensive schooling, which they can't afford. So, uh, so it is a question of, do I work at McDonald's or do I make $2,000 a day answering my phone and sometimes more? But it comes with risk. Uh, but you can work at McDonald's and make no money and no risk. And that's fine if you didn't get your 13-year-old girlfriend pregnant and you didn't have a drug addiction yourself. And you were set up to fail the day you walked into school. So, I don't know how much blame you can put on the black people in jail for being there. Do they have a chip on their shoulder? Or some of them mean as hell, and you wouldn't want to go near one of them, some of them. But are they born that way, or did we make them that way? I think people want to say they're born that way, and I think we made them that way. Uh, and I think we have to take ownership of that. Uh, it's just, and I know Americans very into, especially Republicans, very into take care of yourself, take care of yourself. But when you can't get a job because you're black, or you have no education, or you can't even read, and you graduated high school and you can't read the diploma they gave you, which is the case for a lot of people that graduate high school, and that's lowering the bar as well. And you can't be mad at them when they don't make money or they can't get a job. You set them up to fail, and they failed. So how can you not take blame for that? How can you not take ownership of that? And it's yours to own. You created the mess. Now you have to own it and you have to clean it up. And I'm not saying, like I say, it's not an easy problem to solve because it's very intricate. There's a lot of different problems, because the lowering of the dumbing down of society, they can't get that high paying job where they need to have an education because they've never been given an education. It's very hard to train someone at 18 how to read as opposed to when they were 5 or 4 or 3 how to read. And that time just wasn't spent on them when they were 3 or 4. Their parents had to work because they had to support the child. The parents, if they were black, had to work at McDonald's or someplace low like that and work many, many hours because they only got paid so much an hour. And they had to work a lot of hours. So they weren't home to take care of the baby. They weren't home to raise the baby. So, and then we put the baby in jail when he grows up. And we wonder why. So, it's just the whole economy of the whole system. It's just meant to dumb America down, dumb them down. The computers, the iPads, the phone, the video games. It's all part of the dumbing down of America. Yeah, we can do a lot of things with these iPads. We can do a lot of things with the phones that we couldn't do before, but it kills the creativity. Most people can't draw a picture because they don't know how. It's like script. Writing script is gone because people don't know how to write script. They don't know how to read script either. So, and that's result of phones and iPads and computers. But is, so I just I just feel that the effort to change what I'm talking about isn't there, especially with Trump as president. There's not one step with DEI and getting rid of DEI. It's putting everything in reverse, not forward. So, and I think as long as you have old representatives in Congress and the Senate and the judiciary, I think you're you bat you're climbing an uphill battle because those are the people that created the system that's keeping you down. And as long as they're in that position, they're going to keep their foot on your neck the whole time. And you know, they don't want to take responsibility for what they did. They want to blame you. You know, it's not the black man who didn't get an education. It's not the white man's fault for not, uh, which has the money to give the black man an opportunity at an education. They chop off their leg and tell them to run a marathon. You know, and then complain they didn't win. You know, it's like uh, it's just so crazy. And you know, it's like I think rich people they 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 get off. They really get off on hearing news stories where black people are eating like cat food, or just poor people in general, not black people, but poor people in general eating cat food or for dinner or something. You know, and like oh, they feel so good when they hear that story because they're not eating cat food. They would never dream of eating cat food, but they're like, oh, let them eat cat food. You know, it's like, and you know, when they hear those stories, they know when they post a job at their company, uh, they're going to have a line of applicants because those applicants don't want to eat cat food. You know, and I think they feel that unless that's the reason, you know, the objective to have people either work or eat cat food. I mean, that's the disparity of either you work or you eat cat food. Uh, I think, and the rich benefit from that and set that up so it is like that. Uh, they're taking away food stamps. They want people to work so many hours a week to get food stamps. You know, and I think if you can work a couple hours a week, you don't need food stamps. But you know, that's what they're really trying to do is they're trying to make it where they don't give you any food stamps. So, and yeah, it's just a crime because some people just are in certain circumstances that can't work, can't feed themselves, uh, and they're being punished because then they don't measure up. They don't measure up, and they're being punished for it. You know, I mean, are there people that are taking advantage of the system and getting food stamps when they don't deserve them, stuff like that? I'm sure that happens, but you don't wipe out a whole population just so a couple of people like that don't get through. You know, it's it's like trying to kill flies with a shotgun. You're going to do a lot of damage. You're not going to kill too many flies. So, you know, it's just ridiculous. And I think, like I said, as long as you have the orange orangutan running things, nothing's going to change. I don't think a Democrat going in is going to change anything either, because it has to go through the Republicans as well. Uh, I think the will to change things, and you know, I'm not saying they put millions, billions, billions of dollars into school districts in what they quote unquote for their attempt to raise the bar, and they fail miserably. They fail miserably, and they pay teachers 100,000 a year so they can fix grades on the students' tests. They fix the grades so they don't have a lot of failing grades, and they mark them wrong. They mark them up, and they don't teach. It's like it's easier to cross out the grade and write the new grade in than it is to teach the subject. And I think I think that's the biggest part of the problem in the education world. They don't teach; they just change the grade, and you do that every year, and you get what we got. Just it's pathetic. It's really pathetic. And I'm like I said, the biggest problem is no one's trying to fix the problem. So 10 years from now, I could probably make this same video and not change a word.